All right, it's time now to take a look at stories making headlines on the front page of Nigerian newspapers. And Olamide, as well as Nelson, are standing by to bring us up to speed. Good morning, Nelson. Good morning, Olamide. I don't know why Olamide is smiling differently.
I wanted to say, I love it as you always mention my name early in the morning. Olamide as well as Nelson. But good morning to you guys. Good morning, Ibrahim.
It sounds like a perfect duo right here on the newspaper, desk, just as it is right there. Good morning, Veronica. Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good
morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning.
All right, you can take it away then.
All right.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the newspaper review segment right here on TVC Breakfast. We have a lot of stories, especially on politics, making the rounds today, but we will begin with the Nation newspaper with something that is a little bit exciting for me. Inflation drops to 24.48% in expected NBS January figures. National Bureau of Statistics, by the way. Olamide, we had a conversation last night, and the statistics we saw by the NBS closing in last year, 2024, was an increase. And so to see that the projection for January this year is a decrease, that sounds like a good one, isn't it?
Well, understanding the context, understanding the benchmark by which, they
it
arrive
increases
at
and decreases. Okay.
Increases. Understanding the context or the benchmark, all the indices that were, looked at to arrive at this figure is very important because just in January alone, we've seen an increase in some of the tariffs. And so I'm trying to understand how that has had a positive effect on the prices of inflation. I'm very interested as to who exactly arrived at this figure, and perhaps there was the role of, economists in ensuring that, we ascertain a particular figure. But it seems positive at this time.
Exactly. I mean, there are quite a number of macro and micro, economic indices that plays into the calculation that arrives at whether we are in inflation or not. But I'm sure they know better, to tell us what is what. But at the top nameplates there of the Nation, Lagos gets 8 CP in 7 years as Moshid replaces Ishola. All right, investors scramble for Nigeria's assets. Economy peaks on liquidity. And finally, CEOs confident in economy. DSS presence at Lagos Assembly raises dust. Ogun promises IPP in 8 weeks. That's where we will leave it for the Nation newspaper.
And next that we have this morning is Daily Monitor. Something new here. Hold rate focus on fiscal measures. CBP urges the MPC, says further interest rate increases will negatively impact the manufacturing real sector. Ex-CBN president orders least ways to guard against manufacturing collapse. Nelson, I think this brings us back to, the question of inflation. And we see that, stakeholders, experts are saying that the further interest rates probably lead to a more negative impact in manufacturing. And that's why I was raising the question about the indices.
Exactly.
But very quickly to the top of Daily Monitor, which was, the drama, so to speak, that we saw yesterday in the Lagos House of Assembly. Lagos lawmakers, Atiku, demand investigation into DSS interference. I mean, there were questions as to what may have, led to the DSS arriving. Interfering in code.
Exactly.
Because we also need to understand the context of why they were there in the first place. But that wasn't really a good sight, to be honest, yesterday at the Lagos House of Assembly.
I mean, we took that report.
It brought the speaker actually to tears. Trying to, go through probably what could have been going through her mind at that time. I would say that she has not really been given the time to, ease into the process, to ease into the process. And, this raises question as to, why we, as a nation, as, Nigerians in a democratic system, there should be a way to, ensure smooth transition from one, government to another, one leadership to another, irrespective of, ideologies or differences.
Well, I mean, it's all about politics, and sometimes in politics, dirty is part of the ingredient utilized to play politics, But there's nothing wrong with security agencies being within the compound of the national, or rather the House of Assembly. Right. There's nothing wrong. It is what they do when they are there. And that's where the issue right now is. The Lagos House of Assembly had legitimately or constitutionally elected a new speaker. If there is any issue surrounding that, then I'm sure there's an appropriate channel as to how that can be handled instead of that show of drama we saw yesterday, like you said.
Well, they passed a vote of, confidence on the new speaker. And, of course, I understand or I expect that the DSS would not have gone to the House to, cause any harm or mayhem in that sense without having an idea or security intelligence as to what perhaps might come. And I want to believe that's the reason why they were there yesterday. Well, but that's what we have on Daily Monitor this morning. The
leadership is our next paper this morning. And we are looking at something right here again in Lagos. It's Crisis Rock Lagos Assembly. Osun LGA's Speaker, Miranda, gets confidence vote as Obasa's bid to return fails. Okay. But the Osun matter is gradually, stealing the eyes of Nigerians as we get to see this possibly every other day. But we will be watching to see what becomes of that at the end of the day. But most importantly, we are calling for peace in Osun State so governance can happen there. All right, something else right here on the leadership. At the bottom of it, Air Force orders probe of Katsina strikes. This is really important. And also in Victor's Games, we wanted visas for 3 officers and 21 athletes. This is coming from the Defense Headquarters. But that's where we will leave it for the leadership.
It's very great to, leave it there. But let's go to Nigerian News Direct, which is talking about this speakership battle. Showdown in Lagos Assembly as DSS clashes with lawmakers seal the Speaker's and Deputy office. 36 lawmakers have passed the vote of confidence in the Speaker as the Assembly has also adjourned plenary. But away from that, which takes us to that will be a court case yesterday. Alleged $340,000 fraud. Court orders Mercy Chiwo's ex-manager to appear in court. We do not want to preempt the court, and so we'll just leave the issue here for now.
Indeed.
And the top of Nigerian News Direct, which is also talking about the Osun crisis yesterday. Very sad one. 5 persons killed over local government control battle between the APC and the PDP. And Nelson, it's good that, you've also said, like, the priority of all of this is peace.
Yes.
Ensuring peace irrespective of differences in ideology. There should be a way that, both parties can coexist.
Exactly.
Irrespective of, what you believe in and what you support.
Exactly.
But that's what we have on Nigerian News Direct this morning.
And the New Telegraph is our next paper this wonderful Tuesday morning. Again on Lagos Assembly crisis, but at the top nameplate of the New Telegraph right there, report investors emerging bullish on Nigerian assets reforms. This is quoting the CBN governor, Cardoso, as he reinstates commitment to diaspora engagement. Well, part of a way of making sure that inflation is not so inflated. Minister, Nigeria needs alternative funding to fix 360,000 kilometers of roads. All right. And we see the group, the UBA group chairman, champions peace in Africa, with landmark of $500,000 donation to the AU. Remember, he was also there at the AU summit that held in, or it's called ordinary session that held in Ethiopia. And so he's donated $500,000. All right. And I think that's where we would let it off for the New Telegraph.
Which takes us to this Nigeria. I think we have, spoken a lot about this assembly crisis. But there is another interesting thing on the top of this Nigeria. Nigeria can no longer afford to be overly dependent on oil revenues. That's according to Wale Edom. But of course, we should all know at this point that we cannot, depend on oil. We are looking at other means of diversification. We've already said, or we've already seen the president trying his best to, communicate with investors, both within and outside the country, to ensure that perhaps we should be looking at other sources of income.
Marine economy, AI, technology.
Not just even at the federal level.
We're blessed with immense, resources. It shouldn't just be oil, as it were.
It's also important to take attention away from the center. That's where state governors also come in as regards bringing investment and also diversification. But that's what we have on this Nigeria.
The first news will be our paper this morning. Atiku slams DSS police over shocking invasion of the Lagos Assembly. That is at the top nameplate right there. But a very sad story as the header here, 6 killed as Osun LG crisis spirals out of control. This should be controlled, please. And something really funny, Olamide, I saw a bit earlier. At the top nameplate of the first news again, rising trend of no bra, no party fashion sparks outrage in Nigeria. I'm yet to understand what that means. No bra, no panties. But I guess we can leave it right there. And that will be it for the first news.
And that will take us to the Blueprint newspaper, which we see a picture story here. We will employ technology to realize the 2025 revenue target. That's a good one. It's achievable. 1.4 trillion naira debt servicing tool. The federal government is looking into, exploring technology, increase in the level of, advancement, youth involvement in AI and all of that to realize the 2025 budget. So that's a great one. And on the top of the Blueprint newspaper, we see the CBN governor, Cardoso, urging stronger economic ties with the Middle East. Well, I think these are the major stories on the Blueprint this morning.
And the Salient Times is the next paper this morning. Court restrains CBN, others from withholding Kano LG allocation. We took a story sometime, I think last week or thereabout, where the CBN was talking about that. They required the LGs to present audited accounts so that they can receive their allocation.
That's
but here,
where some local governments, local councils are actually stuck.
Exactly.
Because they should be receiving the allocation.
But here we're seeing the court interfering. Well, we'll be monitoring to see how that goes. Police sergeant shoots her son. Oh, my. And his 16-year-old girlfriend dead. This is really sad, and we can see a picture of the son there and the girlfriend. There must have been a reason for that, but we'll bring that detail some other time. As tension in Osun keeps going on, LG chairman resumed duty. We took that story a little bit earlier on our report, but there's a beautiful picture story. I can't walk away from that. That is our president and the First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, and the Prime Minister of Ethiopia as they were leaving the AU ordinary session in Addis Ababa. Wonderful to see this and all the proposals that our president presented there and the adoption of those proposals. Great thing for Nigeria.
Well, it's great for Nigeria. I mean, I'm not particularly shocked. Nigeria, to an extent, has been at the forefront, of conversations of, pushing Nigeria out, pushing Africa to the world, being at the forefront of the conversation, and also, putting our best foot forward in terms of investment and growth.
Indeed.
Which will take us to the Hope newspaper. Which is talking about, I think this is taking us to Ondo State. Aiyedatiwa tax new local government bosses on performance, warns against excesses. It's good that there is a local government that is, not in any form of conflict at this point. 2018 newly elected chairman Vice says LCDAs have come to stay. The governor commends ODEC for free, fair and peaceful polls. But that's, I think, the major story on the Hope newspaper this morning.
And finally, before we let it down, the sporting life. Lukman trains again. Maybe he's trying to warm up to be called by different club sites, to be bought. He said we'll be available for today's game to participate in full training session on Monday. This is as Osimhen scores 14th league goal. No wonder every club side wants Osimhen to be part of their team. But that's where we'll let it down for the newspaper review segment this morning, as we invite Veronica and Ibrahim to come into the conversation right now. And Vero, we've seen the wonderful appearance of Nigeria, represented by our president and the First Lady at the African Union that just held in Addis Ababa. It's a good outing for Nigeria, don't you think?
Absolutely, it is. This is putting Nigeria in the spotlight again. And I only hope that we can capitalize on this new showing by the country. Of course, you would recall that the president, in one of his mandates, he said he was going to push the digital economy as well as ensure that young people are captured into this sector, because we have the numbers. 70% of our population are young persons, and that is what we are building upon. And so it's a good one for Nigeria. I only hope that we can deepen that in the coming days.
Most definitely, especially when you see Nigeria being made the champion for the digital trade. It's really good above Kenya and South Africa that are doing so well when it comes to fintech, when it comes to introduction of innovation of technology and adoption. So we believe that putting in the right infrastructure as we work with AFTA to ensure that we do things that will engender AFTA to thrive in Africa, most definitely Nigeria will still maintain that position. So let's see how this pans out, because the president, as Veronica said, has got a lot of mandates and views and initiative for the Nigerian youth to leverage on.
Absolutely.
Right.
Thank you,
guys.
Nelson.
Great perspective.
Thank you, Olamide. All right.